Hello, this is DRGStudios and welcome back to this channel. Today we're going to be reviewing the next episode of Series 12, which is called Ascension of the Cybermen. This may only be part 1, so we don't have answers to everything, and I'd criticise it for being a bit of a plot hole and not being a very fulfilling story, but we are only part 1 in, so next week we will have answers, presumably. I feel like the BBC have been resting a lot of stuff on this episode, these 2 episodes. They've been putting a lot of money into them, and it's obvious because the production value seems to be up. You've got explosions, you've got cyber heads that still look kind of fake, but they're convincing enough. You've got big explosions. Some of them do look a bit like stock fire, but like there was a shot when there was this tripod thing laying on the floor. And it had this fire coming out of it, and it looked like something you can get quite easily, off the internet for free. And you could do it on basically any program. But I suppose that, that's fine. So the production values were up. You had tons of stuff happening. You had huge Cyberman convoys. I'm going to call them Cyberman convoys for no reason. Huge amounts of Cybermen. At the end at least. The new design for these things are really, really cool. They're like a mixture of the Earthshock ones and the mixture of the newer ones, the Cyber Industry ones, and the most recent updated versions from that we've had since like Series 7. And I quite like how they've all mashed them together. The Lone Cyberman is still really interesting to me, and I'm still looking forward to seeing what happens to that character next week. I did wonder whether the flashback stuff, which is a very weird thing to put inside of this episode, how that connected to the rest of the story, because I originally thought it would just be like a short thing at the beginning just to say, this is who this person was before they became a Cyberman. That's what I thought it would be like, and then that didn't happen and we carried on, and I thought, is this a link to Jack? Like, where is this going? That's one of those things that will happen next week. I think that the cast and the acting was really good this week. I think that the problem with Chris Chibnall episodes that he likes to explain things to the audience directly. He won't let things develop themselves. There was a bit at the beginning when they're talking about this equipment, and they tried to do it in a bit of a better way, having these characters come out and explain things, ask questions, and they had the companions explain. But one, that's kind of out of character for the companions, because they are companions, they're not supposed to know all this technical stuff. Even if the Doctor was to tell them, they would still be a bit unsure, even though, Graham was. But still. I also felt like there was moments when they literally stated the obvious, like the moment when the Doctor says, "Get off the ship." Well, what do you think we've been trying to do for the last 20 minutes, love? And I think the same kind of thing happens for the Cybermen, is that they like to say and not tell. I always thought it was due to budget, but maybe this week, if they had the reason to develop this kind of stuff, maybe not, bring out big explosions, a huge army of Cybermen. To be honest, those 3 would have sufficed, I imagine, with a couple of extras, maybe upgraded versions, that would have probably been okay. But because you've got these huge amounts of Cybermen that you've just awoken, etc., you have to cut corners somewhere. And I think that they cut corners in the idea that they didn't want to show any of the cyber war. They showed us the aftermath, and as cool as it is when you pan back and you look at all those Cybermen drifting around, would it be cool to actually see the war? I just found that kind of stuff kind of silly, and the fact that the character will sit there and tell you these horrible things that they've done, but we never get to see it. As we got towards the end of the episode, I was sitting there thinking that we need some kind of breaking point, a snap, when things get properly dangerous for our characters. I think that, from about 20 minutes into the episode, I kind of knew where things were going. I imagined that those Cybermen, they were going to find some, and then they would wake up by the end of the episode, which happened, and then I imagined that this portal was something a little bit other. And there was a point when I thought maybe this could be Gallifrey related, and it was. Just as a little side note, I did like the fact that they involved the Cybermen in tracing them down this ship. I thought that was pretty cool. Part of me feels a little bit underwhelmed with the whole thing. I think that for me, anything that didn't go full in terms of invasion, I'd have been rather disappointed with. We have that kind of brewing with the idea of the Cybermen approaching, but the fact that I understood that Gallifrey was gone, because we had that in episode 2. I understood that the Master was back, because we had that in episode 1. I understand that he destroyed Gallifrey as well, and because he destroyed Gallifrey, that's why he was there. What's the interesting stuff came from the Cyberman and the fact that why are these people going over to this planet, going over to Gallifrey. That is all the interesting stuff. But that wouldn't make a good cliffhanger. Maybe I'm alone in that, and maybe I will change my mind in a couple of days, but I just felt like climax was high, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is huge. But I knew all this kind of stuff, because we've seen Gallifrey's destroyed. I just thought it was interesting that these people would go there. That's what the cliffhanger was for me. Not, Gallifrey. It's really difficult to explain, and I think my opinion will probably change, probably because it's weird. It's just my like thought process. Look, the episode was exciting and it had a very cool ending, but I just felt like it could have gone further. You know, the Cybermen are back, they're exciting, but we have a lot of questions than answers, and that's probably because it's part 1. So I can't really make up my mind on some of the stuff that I want to until next week. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you did enjoy this video. If you did, make sure you give it a like. Hopefully it entered into some coherent review by the end. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you did enjoy this video. If you did, make sure you give it a like, subscribe if you're new. Go and check out Instagram, TARDIS Team, at TARDIS Team. I'll have it down here. And that will be the Instagram link to a team that I'm part of, which talk about Doctor Who, and we post regularly for some reason. As just a bit of a word of advice, the episode was good, but I would not go out there and go, oh, it's a 10 out of 10, etc. already, because we don't know that much about it. Just be mindful of that. So anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you soon. Goodbye.